I am very happy to introduce Kristen Mallory. She's incredible, amazing, has such a wealth of information. She's our director of off-campus study, and she'll be moving us through the program today. So Kristen, I'll hand it to you.
Thank you, Jeannie, and thank you so much for inviting all of us to present to such an important group of people. We don't get this opportunity to have so many people dedicated to these unique programs that we offer at CMC. So as Jeannie said, I'm Kristen Mallory. I am the Director of Global Education. And in Global Education, we work with study abroad and exchanges, which is our next session, the Silicon Valley program, and the Washington program. So for this session, we're here to introduce you to our two academic internship programs, the Silicon Valley program and the Washington program. These unique programs were literally the first in each location to do what we currently do, which is a full-time internship, full academic credit, CMC courses on site. Different options in the past had been for co-ops, 6 months during the year, things like that, but not for a semester full-time internship. So joining me, let's see, there we go. Perfect, thank you so much. Joining me today and also speaking are Dr. Maija Harkonen, Director of the Washington program, Ron LaPierre, who is our Entrepreneur in Residence and Executive Director of the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, myself, and Nereida Moussa, the Associate Director of the Silicon Valley program. And I'm not seeing the error. There they are. Okay. So as I said, these are both full-time internship programs. They have very unique differences, but what I wanted to start with was the actual similarities so that you have a sense of what both programs offer. And then the directors of each program will talk about the specific nuances that make them unique from each other. So some of the similarities: full-time semester length internship. Most internship programs in either location or throughout the US are part-time internships. The benefit of a full-time internship is that our interns are constantly there, which, if you know from your own work experiences, every time you turn around, you want to ask someone a question, you want to ask someone to do something. Right there are our interns, and they then get a deeper breadth of opportunities. Both programs have 2 CMC faculty taught seminars. They both have a faculty guided independent study. They both then provide full course load with all credits applicable to CMC and graduation requirements. Additionally, their start and end dates are very similar to the CMC academic calendar. They both offer fall or spring opportunities. Students can, and have participated on both during one academic year, or they've done one program, returned to CMC, and then did the other program. But because both programs repeat themselves during each semester, they can't do the same program twice. And both of them, pre-pandemic, all academic interns live, work, and study in the respective program locations. That has been modified because of the pandemic, and I'll allow the respective directors to talk about what they're doing during the pandemic separately. So without further ado, I would like to reintroduce Nereida Moussa, Associate Director of the Silicon Valley Program, who will then, Nereida, do you mind introducing Dr. Harkonen when it's her turn?
No problem.
Thank you.
So as Kristen mentioned, my name is Nereida Moussa. I am the Associate Director of the Silicon Valley Program. I am based in the Bay Area of Northern California, so I provide on-site student support during the semester. And I also provide program support prior to the students' arrivals. The other member of our staff is Ron LaPierre. In addition to helping lead the Silicon Valley Program, Ron is the Executive Director of the Randall Lewis Center for Entrepreneurship and serves as CMC's Entrepreneur in Residence. And prior to joining CMC, Ron spent close to 20 years in business development and operating roles in a series of tech companies, both in Southern California and Silicon Valley. So in his role with Silicon Valley, Ron, works to build relationships with new employers in order to expand internship opportunities. And in addition, Ron and I work together to assist students with their internship search process. So the mission of the Silicon Valley Program is really to provide the students of all Claremont colleges with an off-campus program that combines the continuation of their liberal arts studies and a rigorous full-time internship with an exciting company in Silicon Valley's technology and startup ecosystem. So these logos represent a small sample of the many companies that have hosted our students over the years. So here are some key facts about the Silicon Valley Program. This fall will be the program's 10th year of taking students to the Valley. We have had over 100 companies work with the program so far and take about 220 academic interns over the course of 18 semesters. Oh, I just see a typo. For the internship component of the program, it is important to know that we don't automatically place students in an internship, nor do we have a list of preset internships available for their choosing. So in conjunction with the resources and support that Ron and I provide, each student is required to create a search strategy in order to find their own internships. We believe that learning to conduct a job search is a valuable learning opportunity and an important benefit of the program. The SVP is a great way to learn the discipline, the strategies, and tactics that are needed, if not required, to conduct a successful job search. So plus this approach gives students the freedom to find opportunities at companies that they personally find interesting. We currently have 10 students participating this semester, which is 100% remote. For fall 2021, we are hopeful that we can return in person, but we will also be allowing remote options due to the continued uncertainty of the pandemic. So for courses, we have an econ course, a leadership course, an independent study, and of course the internship. So all 4 SVP classes are really tailored to apply directly to what students will be learning and experiencing on the job as an academic intern. The internship serves as the ultimate laboratory to bring the classroom to life. We often hear from students how relevant these classes are, how refreshing it is to be able to apply what they are learning in the classroom directly to what they are experiencing and observing in the workplace. In addition to these courses, the students have enhanced, the experience is enhanced by numerous professional development opportunities. So from the beginning with their internship search to events on site, such as special masterclass speakers, startup pitch days, evening networking receptions, and athletic and entertainment events, the academic interns get to experience the heart of Silicon Valley while establishing and developing their professional network. And while they're doing so, they can build, their personal and professional relationships with Claremont alumni, parents, friends, employers who can really help mentor these students land successfully when they graduate. As the slide mentions, these courses are held on Wednesday evenings, all day, Saturday and Fridays. And the reason we take some of those Fridays off is, again, for those special events that we might have where we attend that pitch day or another special speakers. Another difference of the Silicon Valley program is that we front load academics for the first 2 weeks of the semester so that students have a little bit more breathing room throughout the semester. As they start their internship, they will have finished a majority of their deliverables or large deliverables through the semester as well. So for housing, we do have a cohort housing option for students. Pre-pandemic, the program had been housing students together in corporate housing in Redwood City. We will be returning to this model as soon as it's possible. Having a common residence delivers a built-in support system with other students that are experiencing the same challenges and growth areas that are brought on by managing a full-time internship, as well as a full load of courses. Students are responsible for planning their commutes and managing their personal care, like laundry, grocery shopping, cooking, etc. It's basically a trial run in adulting. Ron and I continue to be amazed at the growth that we see in these students. When we first meet them, they're often hesitant about their abilities to manage what is essentially 2 full-time jobs. But in fact, most students are overwhelmed during the first few weeks of the program. But our experience has been that any student that can get accepted into CMC has the ability to handle these demands. And this has proven to be true semester after semester. In fact, at our final capstone event, students reflect on their experiences, and a recurring theme is the pride that they feel in themselves for successfully navigating the demands of a very challenging semester. And with that, I will pass it on over to Dr. Maija to talk about the Washington, D.C. program. So Dr. Maija Harkonen, I will pass over to you.
Good morning and good afternoon. This is Maija Harkonen, Director of the Washington Program. I would like to start with thanking Kristen and Nereida for introductions. I would like to show you a few pictures of our program, and while you are looking at these pictures, explain what the program is all about, what we have been able to accomplish. The Washington program is 50 years old. Our anniversary is next year. We have been in Washington, D.C. that long. We are one of the oldest and probably most respected programs in the city. I have lived here and I currently live in Washington, D.C. I have been here over 25 years probably altogether. And I originally came here from University of Texas. That's not where I got my accent. I got my accent from Finland, in case somebody wondered. But I have been here for a long time and leading this Washington program for the 2nd year now, a 3rd year actually. Time flies. I'm trying to move to the next slide. I like this first slide because we have one of our interns there on the top of the Embassy of Canada. She was interning there, and they have a beautiful view to the Capitol, and her supervisor was there with her about a year and a half ago. Why to participate in the Washington program? Most of our students are interested in politics, public policy, international relations, and that's why they want to come to Washington, D.C., but not all. We have many students who understand that in order for them to be employable after graduation, they need some internship experience. Washington, D.C. is a magnet for young people. It's a walkable city, it's a safe city. We have lots of parks, the public transportation is excellent. It is a very easy city for young people to come to and live here independently. And that's why there are so many of them who come from around the United States and around the world to live and intern in D.C. Here, our students learn professional skills, networking skills, leadership skills, advocacy skills, and life skills. They grow when they come here. They are students. During the program, we call them young professionals because this is a transition period for them from this student role into the role of a young professional. Many of our students work on the Hill for US Senate, House of Representatives, but they also work in the nonprofit sector and for-profit sector. They work for law firms, media organizations, think tanks, and the Smithsonian Institution, and many other jobs, employment organizations here in DC and around the DC. We offer 4 courses for credit and letter grade. The first course there is on power, politics, and persuasion. The second one dwells on public policy in general. We also have Washington Research Project, and we invite professors from Claremont, all 5 colleges, to supervise our students' research papers in DC. The last course there is Washington Internship. It is also a course for which students get credit. Next slide, please. As I said, many of our students work on the Hill and they get to meet politicians on a daily basis. However, those who work in the nonprofit sector may not be that lucky. So we organize meetups with politicians on the Hill, or sometimes we invite them to join our students in the classroom. Here we have some of our students in the spring 2019, and then again in fall 2019, meeting with Californian representatives. Next slide, please. Thank you. Networking is something that everybody does in Washington, DC. Learning networking skills is very important. We invite our students to meet with students of other universities, either here in Washington, DC, or those universities that have their own Washington programs operating in the District of Columbia. Here you have pictures of our facility, which is located only a few blocks from the White House. Next, please. Thank you. We also have a DC Athenian. We organize forums and panel discussions with other organizations or universities. Some of these panel discussions have to are about defense policies, foreign policies, elections, and so on. They are excellent opportunities for our students to meet Washington insiders, politicians, and people who work either in administration or in various agencies and departments. We have about 500 alumni living in the metropolitan area. We send invitations to them, and we work with the CMC, Office of Alumni and Parent Engagement. Next, please. All our students have an option to go and visit various agencies, the Pentagon, the FBI, or the Library of Congress, or various museums. We organize tours that are led by professionals who work in these museums or entities. Next one, please. Going to the White House is a highlight for many of our students. That is not always possible, especially if you want to go to the West Wing where the press room is. Fortunately, we had one of our alumni working for the White House, and that's why we were able to get 6 students to visit the White House about a year ago. Next one, please. Entertainment is part of the cultural and student experience here in DC. We give our students free tickets to go to see maybe a ballet or a play. Some students prefer sports events, and that's certainly possible as well. Next one. During the pandemic, many of the venues in DC and the agencies have been closed. We were trying to figure out how to make it easier for our students to feel engaged. We organized or set up a mentorship program last fall, and it was created to help interns network with senior level civil servants, researchers, reporters, congressional staff, and other area professionals. In addition, during the pandemic, our students have been able to live in very nice, very, very nice apartments, which have been subsidized by the college. They have felt safe. Their health has been checked on the daily basis. And while they have been living in DC, they have been able to get medical attention in case they have needed. So far, nobody has. We have been very healthy here, which is the source of joy for me and many parents as well. This concludes my segment. I had two students who will be telling you more about the program from their perspective. Thank you all.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in now for the question and answer period. As Maija mentioned, we have some students here to join us. We actually have 4 students, well, make that 1 alumni and 3 current students that are joining us here. All 4 of the students have participated in the programs we're talking about today. Lakey Lee, CMC 20, is the alum, and we just found out that Lakey has an urgent meeting at Intuit, where she's working full time now. So she needs to get out of here by 11:35. So we'll try to start with her. We also have Curtis Salinger, CMC 22, Jensen Steady from CMC 22 as well, and Josie Zavaria Watson, CMC 21. Jensen and Josie were both in the DC program, and then Lakey and Curtis in SVP. So I'll ask each of the students to introduce themselves, give you a little feedback on their experience in their program, and then we'll open it up to questions and answers. When we get to question and answers, since some of you might not spend as much time on Zoom as we do, at the very bottom of your screen, you'll see a little reactions button. If you click on the reactions button, you'll see an opportunity to raise your hand. So you can click on the raise your hand. I will be looking for you and I can call on you for questions. Other than that, you're more than welcome to type your questions here into the chat, and then I'll read them off. Worst case, if you just feel like you'd like to raise your hand, I'll be looking for people to raise their hands too. So with that out of the way, let's start with Lakey, since she needs to run soon. Lakey, can you give a little introduction to yourself?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. I'm really happy to talk with all the parents and students. I am Lakey. I went to CMC and graduated last December. I actually went to the Silicon Valley program during my sophomore year, second semester. I was born and raised in China and then went to a boarding high school in Chicago prior to CMC. I think Silicon Valley program really changed my whole college journey because I walked into CMC thinking that I will do something like in the financial service industry because my parents are both in that industry. And then the first year and a half, I explored financial service industry and realized that I want to try something else, which I very luckily end up with SVP, where I was working as a data science intern for a startup called Netlify, which I got that position because of a CMC alum who really helped me with during that whole internship. And that's when I really fell in love with the tech industry. Being there, I realized that I can leverage both my financial service background and the tech passion into something that I want to develop in the future. So after that internship, I worked in a digital bank in China. That's like the first digital bank that's opened up at Tencent in China as a product management intern. When I really fell in love with product management. And then afterwards, I attended the CMC, like Intuit went on CMC to do some case competition where like I worked with other CMC folks, and then we got a prize, and I actually landed up with an internship with Intuit. Intuit is the company that makes TurboTax, QuickBooks, Mint, and Credit Karma. That's when I realized that fintech is something I really want to do. So the whole experience, so I think now that I'm working for Intuit, I'm really passionate with my job, and I really like the work that I do. I feel like I'm making impact and working with good people. So I really think that Silicon Valley program changed my whole college journey and lead me to where I am today. Another point that I really liked the Silicon Valley program was the professors there. I don't see my professors here in the call today, but I'm really grateful for all the professors that I met at SVP, because it's a super close-knit community that I actually get to build strong bonding with the professors I met there. One of them became my CMC faculty reader for my thesis, and another one is my mentor for my data science stuff. So I just I'm really grateful for the professors I met there. And I think another strong point of Silicon Valley program was the adulting life that I get to experience early stage in my college. So we have to commute every day, and like we live with friends like adults in apartments that's made for professionals, and we have to cook for ourselves. We take care of ourselves. So that experience just like get me away a little bit for one semester from the whole college campus setting into real life setting that really prepares me for post-college experience. So that's my experience at SVP. I might have to drop at 11:40, but happy to take any questions in the chat, or feel free to reach out to me on any platform. You can search me on LinkedIn with Lakey Lee. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Lakey. Curtis.
Hi there. It's great to talk to you all today. My name is Curtis. I'm studying math and CS. I'm currently a junior, and I did the Silicon Valley program last semester, so my junior fall. I worked at Handshake, which is a really cool company that does education technology, and it helps people our age get jobs. And so I think one cool thing about the Silicon Valley program for me was working at a company where the product was meant for people my age, and it gave me some really unique insight into how to sort of bring your experience with a product into the workplace. Additionally, I am from a small town in Colorado. I never really had any exposure to the tech industry. And so one of the most valuable things about SVP was learning what all the job titles are that are in the tech industry. I always wanted to do something that sort of synthesized a lot of relationship management and was also very analytical. And I just didn't know what those roles were called. And so it was such a good experience to be able to join the workplace and learn that, hey, maybe this was success, maybe this is business development, maybe this is business insights, and the different niches that they all fill. And that's experience that I would not have gotten outside of this program. So I think that's one of my big takeaways. Other than that, I'll echo Lakey on a lot of things. The professors were fantastic. The real world experience was fantastic. And I'm happy to take any more questions over LinkedIn, or I'll drop my email in the chat. But I will pass it off to the next one.
Thanks, Curtis. Jensen, you want to go next?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jensen. I am also a junior right now. So I was on the Washington, D.C. program last fall. So that was kind of during the pandemic and, online in a sense, but I was still in DC. All of us traveled to DC and still kind of had somewhat of an in-person experience, even though a lot of our classes and internships were online. So I think Dr. Harkonen broke down the program really well. I don't have much more to add in terms of like the structure, but I'm, open to taking any questions there. I think I just wanted to talk a little bit about my experience and what I thought was really beneficial with the program. I think for one, like for me, it was a really great experience. Just the city itself. I think it's totally spot on that the city is really, it's really friendly to young people. It's very walkable. Lots of young people live there. There's lots of opportunities for like networking and connections. I especially found that part true. I think also for me coming from California, I'm from the West Coast, it was a really just great opportunity to experience a different part of the country. I'm not, other than this, I'm not really doing like a study abroad program. So for me, this was kind of like my own study abroad in a sense. I got to just go somewhere totally new and experience something new. So I was really grateful to the program for that. I also think, I think the main benefit of the program for me was the ability to do an internship while also, doing a full course load. I think that's really valuable. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other. You can kind of do both at the same time. I worked at Cambridge Global Advisors, which is a consulting firm that works in the national security space. So I got a lot of really great experience there. Enjoyed that job a lot. It was, a lot of different work, but a lot of stuff related to my interests in like public policy and government relations. So I really appreciated that. I also think another benefit is that you're still really connected to CMC, even though you're in Washington, D.C. These are CMC professors. You also get one of your classes is an independent research class that you can partner with a faculty member at CMC with. So I was, able to over Zoom meet with one of my favorite professors at CMC, every couple of weeks to discuss my independent research project, which was really rewarding, I thought. I also would second that the mentor program I thought was especially helpful. That was just started this last fall. I got to talk to a CMC alum, Steve Dalzell, and hear about his background, talk about my interests, and he gave me a lot of really great connections and feedback about kind of where I was heading and what I was interested in. So I really appreciated that part of the program. And I think finally, I found the program rewarding just because of the opportunities it gave me, the connections I was able to make, even if it was less so maybe with other students, because during the pandemic, it's just hard to meet up with lots of people and create those kind of in-person connections. I still found that through my job, I was able to meet the other interns in my job, and I was able to get to know a lot of my supervisors and the people that worked at my company. It was a pretty small firm, which was actually really beneficial. I got to know everyone, at least at one point. And I've been able to really leverage, and those opportunities have been really helpful for me in the future, looking for an internship this summer, and also looking to after graduation. So I appreciated those connections I was able to make. So yeah, overall, I think I had a really positive experience for all those reasons listed, and many more. It was a really great opportunity to be able to be in DC even during this kind of pandemic. I felt especially grateful for that. So I'm open to any questions about the structure of the program or any of the things I just mentioned there. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Jensen. Josie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Josie. I'm a senior at CMC. I'm majoring in government philosophy. I think Jensen and Dr. Harkonen have already done a really great job of hitting the highlights of the DC program. So I'll just talk about my own personal experience a little bit. I'm from Oregon. And so in fall 2019, I went on the DC program and worked for one of my senators, Jeff Merkley, on the Hill. It was the last semester before everything kind of went crazy because of the pandemic. So I was in person. And it was an amazing experience. I knew I had an interest, not in US federal government specifically, but being from Oregon, it was daunting to move out to DC for a summer to intern. And so the DC program gave me a way to transition into that, where I would still have a pretty great support system. I would have all the other students on the program. I'd have Dr. Harkonen. I'd have CMC resources. So that worked out really great for me. It also taught me how to live on my own, which has been really helpful because now I'm in an apartment living on my own because of the pandemic, but also prepared me for life after school. As far as the internship, I was doing some of the menial tasks that you get on the Hill, which might just be answering phones, but I was also able to do some tasks that were really exciting, like writing memos and letters for the senator. I was able to have conversations with almost everyone who worked in the office and hear about how they got there, what advice they had for me. I got to follow the senator around for a day, which was very exciting. I got to go sit on the Senate floor. And overall, it was just an experience where I learned a ton. I was in DC when the impeachment started. I was in DC when President Trump announced that he was withdrawing troops from Syria, which is actually something I talked about in my foreign policy class today. And what that was like being in an office and hearing public opinion from people calling in. And so overall, it's just something that I learned so much from. I plan on going back to DC after graduation, and I have a wonderful network there because of my experience being there in 2019, which is a really wonderful resource to have. And yeah, I think it's just a great opportunity to dip your toe in, to learn more. If you're interested in US government, it's kind of the ideal way because there's really nowhere to be but Washington, DC. So yeah, I can talk more about anything relating to that, talk more about my own experience with the workload or anything like that. And yeah, thank you all for coming.
Let's move into Q&A right now. Let's see, the first question we got in chat was from Kristen Goldfange. They asked, how competitive are the programs? So I can speak for SVP in that we use a guideline of a maximum of about 20 students in the program each semester. I say a guideline because Professor Darren Filson, who's the academic director for the program, is really open to figuring out ways to be able to satisfy more students if the demand is there. If we get more students that really want to be in the program, are willing to commit to a very challenging semester, then he is willing to figure out how to do it from an academic perspective. What about the DC program?
Yes, we can take up to 24 students. Ordinarily, we have anywhere between 13 to 16, 17 students in DC. During the pandemic, the numbers are much smaller, of course. There are some requirements that the students must meet. Those requirements are stated on our website, CMC Washington Program website. They have to have a certain GPA, and they must have had some policy courses in order to apply. And of course, they go through an application process where they are interviewed by professors, a small committee of professors and administrators to make sure that they are mature enough and that they have those requirements all satisfied.
So the next we have two questions from Kristen Merck. The first one is whether the programs would ever consider opportunities in the summer, especially if students don't want to miss an opportunity to be on campus as they've been off campus a lot recently. We haven't had that discussion for SVP that I'm aware of. Nereida, if you have another perspective, please share. I think it would be a challenge for SVP, to be honest, from an employer's perspective, to adjust to a student who also has a full load of classes. You know, part of when we talk to employers for the program, we go overboard making sure they understand that the students are not your average intern. They are academic interns. They are taking a full load of classes. Not only do we teach on Saturdays, but we teach approximately one Friday a month. And so it may be a challenge to get companies to adjust their internship programs, which are pretty standard every summer to handle the academic intern. Nereida, do you have anything else on that? No? Okay. And DC, have you guys thought about summer program?
Yes, we have thought about, but we haven't adapted that. I think that the main reason is that many of our students who want to stay in DC, they may stay in DC. They find their internships pretty much on their own. Of course, we have excellent resources available on campus that help them to find internships that are to their liking. So after the program, they are welcome to stay in DC. They usually find their own housing. It is only during the pandemic that we have designated housing for our students, and that's because we want to keep them healthy.
Okay.
The other thing it's important to remember that Claremont McKenna financial aid travels 100%, including your scholarships, grants, anything like that. And because CMC doesn't offer summer school to participate on the program, you would still be paying tuition, which would not then, we don't have summer school, so we don't have financial aid for summer through the financial aid office. Instead, we have a pretty robust program and funds available through the Salt Center for Student Opportunities, where students can actually get their internships and live in these respective locations, or pretty much anywhere in the world, and still be provided the resources to do a full-time internship without having to participate on an academic internship program.
Ron, I did have one question come in to me privately in the chat, and it is for one of the students. I don't think it matters, but the question was, what was the experience like socially? Did all of the CMCers hang out together, evenings, weekends, study together, that kind of thing? And so I guess, Ron, if you want to choose someone to answer that.
Well, Curtis can certainly talk about it from a SVP perspective.
Yeah, I think my perspective is a little challenging. So I did it entirely remotely. And so first I'll talk about mine and then what I've heard from others. My semester, I mean, we connected as much as we could outside of the classroom. I had many Zoom just work sessions with other academic interns. So we certainly found a way to stay connected and a way to sort of facilitate that cohort style that the goal of SVP is to create. So it definitely took some intentionality. Being fully remote, we had to be, very intentional about creating that group and creating those study sessions. But from that experience, it was very community driven. In the traditional SVP year, yeah, so all the interns actually stay in some CMC housing in the Bay Area. And so students are actually living together. They may be taking, the same public transit, but on a traditional semester, yes, you are all living together. I have friends who I'm living with right now who both did it the semester prior, and they would go into the city on weekends together. So that social experience is really there. We had to sort of make it my semester, but I think in general, it comes really easily, and it's really valuable to connect with a few of those peers in that deeper level.
Josie or Jensen, from a DC perspective?
Yeah, I can speak to what it was like when we were in person. And I think, so when I did the DC program, we didn't yet have like housing all together, but I was living with 3 other girls who were on the program, and they were an amazing support system. I had a great time with them. And then a bunch of other girls or people who were on the program would come over on weekends, and we'd go and do things. We'd go out to brunch. Dr. Harkonen also did a great job of organizing events. So like we all got to go see the Pentagon together, or we all went to a basketball game together. So that was really great. And then there's also just a network of CMCers there. So there were actually 2 DC program alums who were, I think, 2 years post-grad, 1 year post-grad. Like I got lunch with one of them weekly, and we were just like became friends over the program. And then finally, I also had my group of co-interns who I loved and I spent a lot of time with. I'm still in touch with a couple of them. And so, no, it wasn't like a campus social life for me, but there was like a lot of seeing young people, like getting to know new people, enjoying the people on the program. Like it's a lot of work, it's a lot of pressure. But having people who are going through the exact same thing is really great, and support each other through it. So I had a good social experience.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think we need to wrap up to move on to the next session. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. So we will be jumping off this Zoom and going on to another one. Rebecca has put that link in the chat, and I think has also sent a reminder to everyone's emails. So I just definitely want to take the time to thank Ron, Nereida, Maija, Kristen, and all of our incredible students. You'll see in the chat that many of them have put their emails. So if later on a question pops up for you, something comes to mind, please feel free to reach out, or you can always reach out to me too, and I can put you in touch with whoever can answer your question. So thank you again, everyone. This was really great information. Thank you for taking the time, and hopefully we'll see many on our next Zoom in about 10 minutes at noon. Have a great day.